All right, Dave, thanks. Once again, last Wednesday night, a 40-lapper, a little longer race than usual for the Midgets. 1 lap to go, and you see Jeff Sands and Andy Michener comprising the front row. There's Tony Stewart in the white 9. Outside the second row is Brian Gerster. With the fastest 6 qualifiers inverted, Randy Tolsma and Dan Drinan. The fast qualifiers were in the 3rd row. The 4th row, Kenny Irwin in the black number 4. There's Chuck Leary in 30. And then back there in row 5, Steve Barth occupying that row alongside Ryan Newman in a pair of yellow cars. So this last lap there is row 5 with Barth in 14. 17-year-old Ryan Newman from South Bend, Indiana in 62. Inside row there, the blue car is Mel Kenyon, the 7-time USAC national champion. We are about to go green. Now, once again, this is a week ago last night.
They went into turn 1, and right away, Minster jumped out into the lead. But I tell you what, this race was, he looked like he had this thing wired on the first lap. He just took off very, very, very fast.
Right there, Gerster in the blue car makes a move under Sands to overhaul the 3rd position. Sands dropping back to 4th. But now, as we talked about Gerster getting the good start, he's being reeled in by the 9 car of Tony Stewart.
Yeah, Stewart, it took him about a lap to get going. He didn't have much luck. But you can see Drinan back there. He's about in 6th spot, trying to work his way around. He's having a little trouble getting that thing going. He's been very fast early, but not tonight.
Battle up in front, about what, 8 car lengths now separating 1st and 2nd. A big gap back to 3rd, and here is a crash right here. That was the number 30 car of Chuck Leary. He got sideways, as the replay will show you, and gathered up the number 1 of Jeff Hunt and the number 8 of Ronnie Johncox. Now you see that he'll climb out. All the drivers are okay, and he'll walk over to confirm momentarily with the driver of number 1, Jeff Hunt. And coming up, we'll have a replay. You saw Jeff Hunt a couple of weeks ago take that wild ride down the backstretch at Raceway Park. He's been involved in a number of accidents this season, driving the Ralph Potter's muffler and brake service entry, and he calls him back over.
Well, Larry and he have been in a lot of accidents. He thought that Jeff Hunt had tapped him in the rear end. In fact, it was not Jeff Hunt. But you can see here...
Now there's a look at Dan Drinan changing the battery under a red flag. The red flag was prompted by a wild ride taken by Ryan Newman. Ryan out of South Bend, Indiana, as the crew continues to work on the number 33 car of Dan Drinan. He had the luxury of having a red flag to work on it. And Larry, here's what prompts the yellow. Or the red, actually. It's the yellow car.
Ryan Newman gets up over a wheel, coming off of turn 4. He spins clear around, gets down on that soft left rear that we talked so many times about, rides on the cage, down halfway down the front straightaway, hits the inside wall, and luckily bounces back out into the middle of the racetrack. Watch the fence back there. See that USAC official? He was out of the way. He wasn't going to get hit.
Well, Ryan there got very close to going over the wall as he chipped that inside pit wall in a wild ride. This was on lap 15 for the red. Now, the youngster was okay. He was uninjured. But at that point, Tony Stewart was leading with Michener second, then Gerster, Kenny Irwin. And on the restart, Dan Drinan was in 5th position. We question how he got to 5th on a restart after working on the car, but that will come up a bit later as the race takes off again with your defending national midget champion, Tony Stewart, now in charge. Right there in 2nd is Michener. 3rd is Irwin. Now there's a good look at the number 3 car of Jack Runyon. He goes by Sands on the inside and pulls up close to the number 48 car.
Yeah, after Drinan got his battery fixed, he was slowing down. He had slowed down. I thought he had almost been lapped by these guys, but once they reverted back to the lap previous, evidently he gained all those spots back. He got the battery fixed, and he got going again, and he was faster in the second half of the race than he was in the first half of the race by far. Watch right here as he's following Gerster. He just works around him. He gets down on the bottom, slides right up in front of him, no problem whatsoever. Race car really fast.
Well, that was a classic pass right there. That was a good, clean pass. He had room to make the pass.
Exactly. Tony Stewart, meanwhile, he and Michener, really, they're pulling away. These guys really had this racetrack wired. It looked like it was going to be one of those 2 guys, and it really looked like it was going to be Stewart's night, because once he got around Michener, he pulled out to a 3 or 4 car length lead, and Michener could pull back within 1 or 2 car lengths, but never could quite catch him up to this point of the race.
Well, there goes an inside pass, and once again, a good, clean pass. He just motors on by the number 4 car, the wins car of Kenny Irwin. Irwin tried to chase him down the backstretch, but has to tuck in behind him, and Drinan was gone. He had the fastest car. He was the fast qualifier, what, in I think 11 pavement races. He's been the fast qualifier 10 times this season.
And Kenny Irwin did exactly what he should have done. After he went around him, he tried to tuck back under him, but Drinan was just too fast. He couldn't get back under him. Right here we see the lead again. Mitchner again started picking up. It seemed like these two guys changed back and forth. For a while, Mitchner would be faster, then Stewart would be faster, and it changed all night long, just like this. As one chased the other.
But look back there in third, closing in the white 33 car. That is Drinan. Drinan is third. Fourth is still Irwin. So you look at the battle for the lead, less than a car length separating first and second. Your defending national champion, the guy who finished second in points last year, and there goes Mitchner by. Slides just a little bit, but makes the pass.
Makes the pass, goes right up in front of Stewart. Stewart had no choice. He just got out of the throttle a little bit, let him go, because he was passing. He drove, you know, that's a patented slide job. Down underneath him, slide up, take the groove away, got to lift a little bit and let him go.
But you have to clear the guy.
Well, that's exactly right. That's why they call it a slide job. You got to get past him. If you don't get past him, they call it a slam job.
Well, we have a slam job coming up then. All right, now once again, here's the battle for the lead. To the inside, no, he can't make it stick. Mitchner continues to lead, and now it's a three-car shootout. Three white cars, Mitchner, Stewart, and Drinan. And now, once again, a look to the inside, and yes, he makes the pass. And now Stewart leads. Not exactly the place, as he would find out momentarily, that he should be at this point.
Well, those two guys, you know, they've both been battling back and forth. And while they were doing all this battling, that's what enabled Danny Drinan to catch up with them. While they're battling each other and having to slow up a little bit as they battle each other, Drinan caught right up to them.
All right, now we've seen some good examples of good slide jobs. Now we'll give you the flip side of that.
Well, Drinan, you know, he really has a lot of confidence in that race car. He really thinks that race car can do anything that he wants it to do. As we take a look at Brian Gerster and Kenny Irwin running back in fourth and fifth. These two guys were fast. They just weren't quite as fast as those top three guys.
Once again, back up in front, it's still the same three, nose to tail, with Stewart leading, Mitchner on his bumper, and here comes Drinan, and here comes the controversial move right here.
He goes down in there, tries to pull the thing, bam! A slam job, just like we were talking about. He didn't clear him. He didn't have him cleared. Stewart thinking that since he was so far to the side of him that he had to give him room. Stewart obviously not very happy there as he gave the steering wheel a toss.
And he's looking back because he knows exactly who it was that got into him, almost wheel to wheel. And Stewart is going to walk over and have a comment first with the track safety crew to say, hey, I'm all right, I'm upset, I'm looking for the guy, and he's waving the official away. He's looking for one driver in particular, and you know who that driver is. These two got together before. They've had bad blood in the past. It happened at Richmond, Kentucky, when Dan Drinan knocked Stewart out of the lead, and that time he was fined and suspended and had the points taken away. And you can see how angry Stewart is, because that well could have been his race to win.
Yeah, you don't want to read his lips right there too closely, because he's not a very happy boy, and he's just telling the officials, if you don't do something about it, I'm going to.
This is Tech Director Mike Devon, and he's saying you've got to do something about Drinan. Now, there's Bob East, the builder of the Beast chassis. He has to put the race car back together. He is not happy at all.
Well, it's the second time it's happened here in the last couple of weeks, and not only did it cost them the win, it cost them the points, which they're in the points race, and then they got to spend all the money to fix the race car, you know, and I can understand why they're not very happy about the whole situation.
Well, we're going to show it to you again. Now, I talked to Mitchner this evening, and Mitchner said, hey, when he went by me so fast, he said, I knew he didn't have a shot at clearing both of us.
Well, it's a long way to go to get around two cars. Right here, Tony Stewart's thinking, he's got to give me room. He's not far enough up. And the race car got loose, and he just ran right into the side of him. Put them both into the fence.
I'm not sure who it was last week, but somebody in the broadcast booth mentioned the movie Dumb and Dumber.
I think that was me. I said Damon Hill and Danny Drinan could be the star in that movie, right?
Sequel to it. Now, once again, I was a bit concerned right now after the crash. Drinan is able to continue, but USAC told me that they had an eyeball on the car, seeing that the bumper was secure. And I'm saying, why don't they black flag him right here and make sure there's nothing broken on the rear end? They can take action against Drinan after the race, which they did, but black flag him and make sure that race car is safe to go out there and race again.
Well, you know, that's a possibility. Of course, Mike Devon said that he eyeballed it. He thought nothing was wrong, and they let him go. But,
you can't eyeball the entire rear end at, you know, even 30 or 40 miles an hour in the yellow.
Yeah, Tony Stewart obviously is not very happy. You know, It does. Danny Drinan, I'm sure, is very sincere when he tells me that he thought he could do it. He didn't have any intention of doing that. I think he was very sincere in saying that. But the fact is, when you're already on probation, boy, you got to be a little more careful.
Okay, now once again, after 23 laps, Michener now is your leader because the leader's been knocked out. Drinan is up to second. Irwin, okay, start after that yellow. Michener's out in front, but it won't take long for Drinan to go on by. Now, Drinan's not even sure if that car's damaged at this point. Now, obviously, it feels okay to him, but he doesn't know how badly damaged it is.
And he went right on around him. Bad. I mean, yeah, the tail tank's bent in, the rear bumper, the race car is a little bit wiggly, but still.
Yeah, about a half straightaway between second and third at this point. But Drinan is going to go on and take the victory with the crumpled up rear end. And once again, the second time this season that's controversy surrounding one of his wins.
And Michener tried everything. He ran that race car sideways and everything else that last lap trying to catch him, but Drinan was just too fast.
And there's a look back at Irwin and Tolsma. And Tolsma gets on the binders, and consequently Gerster has to get on the binders and not hit him in the backside.
Yeah, those guys ran third, fourth, and fifth last week, all of them pretty fast. I mean, all five of these guys were very, very fast, but I tell you, Drinan was a quick race car. There's no question about that.
All right, so we'll follow Drinan now once again into victory lane because there's a shot we want to show you here as Drinan will take the laurels of victory, as tainted as it may have been. And we're going to show you a shot of the guy that may have well been in victory lane had it not been for that slam job. But once again, if you've just tuned in, highlights from the midget race at Raceway Park last week. We are live at Winchester. We will have the Loctite sprint cars live for you here. It is hot and humid, but it is dry. So for the first time on Thunder this season, as we watch Drinan climb out of the race car, we'll have a shot at the USAC sprint cars in action when we get back to our live coverage here from Winchester. In fact, there's a look. There's a look at Tony Stewart. Tony wisely did not approach the victory lane area to confront him, but walks on back with a shake of the head. Drinan, Michener, Irwin, Tolsma, and Gerster routing out the top five. And in the second five, we have Hines, Runyon, Hamilton, Kenyon, and Sands. Once again, some highlights of the midget last year. This is what happened after the race. He was fined $1,000. He was suspended for the next 2 races. He keeps the win and loses the points. Makes no sense to me why he gets to save the win. But USAC explained to me, as we look at the current points right now, they have no instrument in their rule book that can take the win away. It seems like the director of competition could yank that if he wanted to, but that's twice this season. He's been fined, suspended, lost the points, but keeps the win.
Well, I think, as they explained to us, I think that's pretty much the rules in NASCAR, kart, whatever. That's what they do, is they take the points and find them, but they can't take the win away.
All right, Dave, you have the man in the in the swirling winds right now.
Well, indeed, we are live with Danny Drinan. Everybody else is going to Kansas City this weekend, and you're not. Your reaction to all this?
Not proud of what happened. I mean, every time you race, you make choices. I did something that I tried 2 weeks earlier. Got somebody stuck a nose under me, passed 2 cars going into 3 quite cleanly. Nobody had to lift. I tried to do the exact same thing. I got a little bit loose. Tony had a choice. He didn't lift. He stayed there. We got together. The result was pretty bad. I'm really worried about my image. I don't want to be labeled somebody that's crashing people. I really worked really hard this year to project a professional image, take care of my equipment, my attitude, my actions in public, and I want that image to go out to the public.
Where does this leave you now? Obviously, it impacts your chances of winning the championship. You're going to miss the next 2 races. Meantime, you went out and drove one of the American IndyCar Series cars and had a pretty good outing there. What's the plan for the rest of the year?
At this point right now, I'm not really sure. Our sponsor, Indiana Western Express, has withdrawn from our support because of everything going on here. They said if I went into something besides a USAC event, they would like to be with me. They're really upset about the ruling, and just the simple fact of consistency. There's been a lot of incidents happen in every race, and the rulings towards myself haven't been consistent with everybody else. That's the only thing we're a little bitter about. I'm not sure next week going to prepare a car for the TV race. We can't run these 2 races this weekend, and this series is so competitive. Everybody's so tough week in, week out. They've taken 2 races away from me already, and they're going to take these 2 away from me this weekend. There's little or no chance of winning a championship. So I'm going to have to direct my focus beyond this. I've tried to use it on these televised races to show my talent, my ability, and my professionalism to get somewhere beyond this. And hopefully somebody's seen what we've done this year. Every race but one that we've finished, we've won. And I'd like to go on to something else.
So that's Dan Drinan regrouping and looking ahead.